Loan origination activities. Mortgage math. Albert Einstein said, "Do not worry about your difficulties in mathematics. I can assure you, mine are still greater." This is one segment of the test where learning the information to be able to pass the exam will definitely prepare you to be more effective at your daily loan origination activities. If you're not good at math, once you are able to pass the exam, rest assured if you input all the data into your loan origination software, the software will likely make all the calculations for you, and you'll be able to limp along at your task. On the other hand, mortgage loan originators who master the math and are able to do many calculations in their head on the fly during the initial conversation with the client are able to much more effectively manage their time over the scope of their entire career. Some loan originators even play the song in their head Kenny Rogers sang, and no, I'm not going to bold out the tune, but know when to hold them, know when to fold them, and mortgage math might be a very good tell, just like in poker. A couple of testing notes. A financial calculator is not permitted in the testing center. Calculator use is limited solely to a simple basic calculator. Additionally, expect use of scrap paper and pencil. Most successful candidates remember important lessons from their math lessons early in life. Read the word problem without viewing the answers yet. Translate this word problem into an equation, labeling each component of the equation. So once again, step 1, translate the word problem into an equation. Check the validity of your written equation by reviewing the exact wording of the question a second time, confirming you have written the equation to solve for the requested information. As you complete the solution on your scrap paper, step 2 is to show and label your work clearly. So in step 3, you can effectively check your work. Math is an exact science, and since test takers have an abundance of time to complete the exam, cautious test takers find value in completing each math question a second time, sometimes in a different manner, to confirm the solution produced is the correct answer. Consider the possibility that some of the information included in the exam question may not be needed for the requested solution. You might as well get used to wading through relevant and irrelevant information, as many applicants frequently provide extra unneeded information during the application process. It is your task to decipher the essential information quickly and accurately. Setting appropriate client expectations and good time management demands it. And good time management skills demand it. So once again, let's review. Step 1, write and check the equation for accuracy. 2, show your work, labeling each step along the way. 3, check your work, completing the math portion a second time. And then finally, compare your answer to the answer choices. If your answer is not present, well, return to step 1 and or mark this problem and come back to it later with a fresh perspective. The closing thought here: if you're posed with 8 math questions, and I don't know how many you will have on your actual exam, if you master the math and get all 8 correct, since a passing score is 75%, you've just bought 2 other missed questions that you can afford to have in other portions of the exam and still get to your average. On the other hand, if math is your weak spot, your goal is to hopefully get 5 or 6 of the 8 correct so that it at least does not handicap you and sabotage you altogether. Good luck, and let's move forward. By the way, 3 out of 2 people have problems with fractions. Good news and bad news. The most common score of those that do not pass the exam on their first attempt failed by 1 question. That makes it plain to see that mortgage math mastery can catapult a marginal score into a passing score and you into active mortgage loan origination. Mortgage math, the national component calculations. 1, we're going to master loan to value, temporary and fixed rate buydowns. 2, debt to income ratios. 3, ARM calculations including cap and fully indexed rate. 4, down payment, closing cost, and prepaid items. 5, periodic interest, also known as per diem interest. And finally, 6, payments, principal, interest, taxes, and insurances, plural, QM monthly payments. Now, many effective loan originators master this so much that they can do these problems in their head. We strongly encourage you to use your scrap paper, write down the equation, labeling and showing your work, and finally, checking your work Our math section learning objectives: 1. Understand the necessary terms. 2. Discover relevant information to create the correct equation. 3. Solve that equation. Then 4. Finally, practice solving and checking your solution. Ratios: the loan-to-value ratio and the debt-to-income ratio. A ratio is a relationship indicating the quantity of one item compared to the quantity of another item. The first number goes into or is divided by a second number. In mortgage lending, the larger number is the second number. Therefore, the solution represents what percentage the first number is of the second number. Loan-to-value. Practically speaking, most MLOs use a computer to originate mortgage loans. If the computer is not handy, many will have all of the necessary documents and a financial calculator to work through any changes necessary. For the NMLS exam, currently MLOs complete all math problems using a simple basic calculator. You are not permitted to bring your own calculator or computing device for this high-stakes exam for testing security reason. The first calculation, using the first term loan amount over the second term property value. Remember, the property value is the lower of the purchase price or appraised value, unless, of course, the transaction is a refinance. Then use the appraised value for properties owned at least 1 year. So our example, loan amount divided by the value. In this case, we see $160,000 divided by $200,000. Enter $160,000 divided by $200,000 in a calculator. The result is 0.80, which is 80%. Another example, if the purchase price is $220,000 and the appraiser renders an opinion of value at $200,000, use the $200,000 for the value since it is a lower of the two, purchase price or appraised value. If the loan amount is $175,000, then we take $175,000 divided by $200,000, which equals 0.875 or 87.5%. And remember, when evaluating to guidelines, we need to round up, because when Fannie Mae says 36% debt to income ratio, they don't mean 36.1 or 36.8. So if you round up from 36.8, it's clear you have 37, which exceeds guidelines. For a refinance loan, it's simpler. Take the loan amount and divide it by the appraised value. An example, a loan amount of $145,000 and an appraised value of $180,000. $145,000 divided by $180,000 equals 0.805 or 80.5%. Unfortunately, if our target is 80% even, this does not work. This particular loan request exceeds guidelines. Obviously, if you take 80% of $180,000, it gives you a loan amount of $144,000. Combined or cumulative loan-to-value, CLTV, the principal balance of the first mortgage plus the principal balance of the second mortgage divided by the current value of the property. An example, a property appraises at $200,000. The applicant takes out two loans, a first and a second lien. The applicant requests a first lien amount of $100,000. The second lien loan amount, $50,000. The combined loan-to-value is 75%, found by taking $100,000 plus $50,000, totaling $150,000 divided by $200,000, yielding the ratio 75%. Another example, if the maximum combined loan-to-value, CLTV, is 90%, if the borrower owes $160,000 on a first lien, the maximum home equity line of credit allowable would be $20,000. You can check our work by taking $160,000, add in the $20,000, gives you $180,000, divided by the $200,000, yields 90%. Cumulative or CLTV. Total loan-to-value, the maximum possible loan amounts considering all the mortgage liens, using the larger of the current principal balances or maximum principal balances divided by the value. This situation will only appear on a home equity line of credit. Here's an example. The applicant has a first mortgage of $100,000. A second mortgage was accepted for a HELOC for $50,000. They have accessed only $35,000 of the available line of credit. The value of the home, $200,000. Calculate the first mortgage balance plus the total HELOC line amount, whether owed or not, which is $50,000. $100,000 plus the maximum line of $50,000 gives us $150,000, divided by $200,000 gives us a total loan to value of 75%. Total loan to value is sometimes referred to as a high loan to value, HLTV. Continuing with example of LTV, CLTV, and TLTV. Example, the couple saved diligently. They had wanted to pay cash for their home, but upon touring area home, they chose to go bigger. Now their $100,000 is the down payment. The seller is paying all closing costs. The purchase price is $200,000. What is the loan to value? Well, since it wasn't specified, we're going to presume the home appraised for $200,000 also. So $100,000 divided by $200,000 equals 0.50 on the calculator, yielding a 50% loan to value. LTV. Another example, the applicant has a first mortgage of $100,000. A second mortgage was accepted, a HELOC, home equity line of credit for $50,000. They have accessed only $35,000 of the available HELOC. The value of the home, $200,000. The calculation, the first mortgage balance plus the total HELOC balance of $35,000. So 100 plus 35 gives you $135,000. Taking $135,000 divided by $200,000 yields 67.5%, rounded up to 68% CLTV, cumulative loan to value, or combined loan to value. Next, total loan to value, also known as high loan to value. An example, the applicant has a first mortgage of $200,000. A second mortgage was accepted, a home equity line of credit for $150,000. They have accessed only $50,000 of the available home equity line of credit. The value of the home, $500,000. The calculation, their first mortgage balance plus the total maximum home equity line of credit possible balance of $150,000. So $200,000 plus $150 equals $350,000 divided by $500,000 equals 70% TLTV. The next calculation, $200,000 plus the existing balance owed on the home equity line of credit of $50,000 yields $250,000 divided by $500,000 equals a 50% cumulative or combined loan to value, CLTV. Another example, house appraises for $400,000. The applicant owes $200,000 on a first lien, has a HELOC for $100,000 with a current balance of $50,000. What is the LTV, CLTV, and TLTV ratio? And we're looking through the answers and we find the correct answer as answer D as in dog, 50% LTV, 63% CLTV, and 75% TLTV. The calculation, $200,000 first lien divided by $400,000 equals 50% for the loan to value on the first lien. Cumulative or combined loan to value calculated by the $200,000 plus the $50,000 that was owed totals $250,000 divided by $400,000 yields 0.625 on the calculator. Round up always for LTV or DTI. In this case, 63% cumulative loan to value. TLTV or HLTV, $200,000 plus the $100,000 that could be owed. The maximum line of the credit equals $300,000 divided by $400,000 equals 0.75 on the calculator, yielding a 75% high loan to value or total loan to value.